We finally moved out of Virginia Beach 7 months ago. We'd been thinking about it and preparing for it for years, literally. We were obsessed with it, actually. Whenever we said, let's go take a walk, we really meant let's load the car, drive 20 minutes to a nearby city, pull our son's bike out of the car, and walk through a neighborhood we really loved. And we did this for a while, but when the market shifted and demand started to soften, we realized, okay, this is our window. So we sold our condo and bought something without ridiculous competition or having to give up a kidney just to win a house. And honestly, I don't ever want to move again, not if I can help it. Moving sucks. But every time I drive through Virginia Beach, whether it's for work, to go shopping, to meet a client or whatever, there's just something. It's not regret. It's not really nostalgia either. It's more like a silent question that pops up and kind of sits there for a while. Is there a way to get back what we had there without losing what we found here? I will show you exactly what still tempts me and what keeps me grounded where we are. If you're new here, I'm Dean. My wife Kim and I are Hampton Roads Realtors with RE/MAX Alliance. And on this channel, we post content to help people like you explore how to live well and love home. So if you're considering a move to the Hampton Roads area or out of it, this might help you sort through some things that aren't in regular YouTube videos. You ready? Let's go. All right, if you Google this topic or ask around, here's what you're gonna find.
The traffic on 64 is awful. The humidity is brutal. Good luck parking at the beach in July. The seasons are unpredictable. Because sometimes it does feel like you're in the middle of spring and then bam, suddenly you're in summer. Or other times you're bundled up for winter and been sweating by noon because you've been hit with a surprise fall relapse or whatever. And the snow, we don't really get much of it. Every few years we'll have a decent snowfall, but that's about it. It's definitely not as cold as I remember when I was growing up in New York City or going to Temple in Philly.
Those things are like background noise. You know, they're inconvenient, but they're not deal breakers. They're just part of the territory. The stuff that made us actually start packing boxes, it was deeper. It was more subtle, not obvious at first glance. So bear with me. This is my slightly unorthodox list of cons, which, if you're like me, will answer some questions you already have, okay? The first one is lack of autonomy. It is about freedom, but not just we wanted a backyard. It's a real autonomy about how you live, what you can do with your own property, your own land, your future. We were in a condo, and yeah, it came with its own limits, but even if we had bought a house in Virginia Beach, the short-term rental laws in Virginia Beach are restrictive. If we wanted an Airbnb, something for income, or build an ADU for our parents later on, we'd be running into red tape. And you start noticing it more once you leave. There's restaurants, but they're mostly safe, polite, chain-dominated. Businesses are the same story. You can feel the absence of risk, passion, or of edge. Things are well run, but convenient, familiar, predictable. It's not like there's nothing happening. You know, there's some cool places tucked away, some gems, but overall, it's all very pre-approved. Like someone made a nice, clean checklist of what a livable city should have and just went down the list, and, you know, there's comfort in that. But if you're someone who wants to build, create, stretch, feel, it's a little stifling. Maybe I'm overstating it a bit, but you get the point. Con number two, space, limited space, high cost. So like I said, we were in a condo, and then our son was born in 2020, and he started getting bigger and louder and more active, and we needed space to grow. We needed not just square footage and acreage, but breathing room. In and around Virginia Beach, more space equals more money, period. It has one of the highest median home prices in the area, which, by the way, isn't all bad. Higher median prices means higher revenue generated by property taxes, which means more resources for the community. You know, police, roads, schools, libraries, etc. But just know to enjoy those things, you have to pay for them. No brainer. 3, cultural fit and community. So here's the thing. We were plugged in, soccer, Montessori school, pickup lines, weekend tournaments, the works. And yet, very few of those interactions turn into anything meaningful, like real relationships. Maybe it was me. I always try to ask that. Some people think that I have a angry resting face, but it happened enough that I started wondering if it wasn't just me. People were kind, Southern, polite, but the deep connections, they seem to happen mostly, in pre-existing groups. Like if you're military or church, if you're a local, one of those, if you're not one of those bubbles, you're just hovering outside of the circle. Now, I came here from the Virgin Islands to go to Regent, so I was fully integrated in that bubble, but most of those people left when they graduated. And if it wasn't for meeting my wife, Kim, and her being a Virginia Beach native, I might not have fit in any circles by now. So yeah, that's the honest stuff. That's what wasn't working anymore. But now let me flip it. Let me tell you what still tugs at me, what makes me pause sometimes and think, maybe. So here's what most people will tell you when they talk up Virginia Beach.
You're right by the ocean. There's always something to do, festivals, concerts, events. It's one of the safest cities in the state.
And yeah, sure, that's all true, but unless you're dropping 7 figures, and feel free to do so, you're not walking out of your front door and stepping onto the sand. You're driving, parking, hauling your stuff like everybody else. And if you've got a 5-year-old, those festivals and events aren't really the selling point anymore. We're not in that phase. And listen, I was a police officer in the United States Virgin Islands. I grew up in New York in the early 90s. I went to college in North Philly. So I know what unsafe feels like. Virginia Beach never felt like that, not once. There are rougher neighborhoods, sure, but by and large, it's steady, predictable, safe, and that matters, especially when you've got a kid. But give me a minute while I walk you through my list of personal pros, the ones that probably won't show up in a brochure, but have a real effect on your day-to-day, okay? Number 1, libraries. Virginia Beach's libraries are way better than you expect. Actually, they're kind of fantastic. And as a parent of a 5-year-old who's about to be homeschooled in less than 30 days, pray for me, I'm telling you those libraries are clutch. The TCC Joint Use Library, I think it has the biggest children's installation in the whole state. I tried calling to confirm that, by the way. And the person who answered the phone reacted like I'd just asked them to look up a unicorn in the Netherlands. So take that with a grain of salt. But either way, it's pretty impressive. And festivals and events, they're fine, but we're not chasing bands or wine festival tents anymore. So we're in the please help me entertain this and educate this child without losing my mind phase. And in that department, Virginia Beach shows up strong. Number 2, convenience. I didn't realize how spoiled we were until we moved. In 5 minutes, I could hit 3 different Starbucks, a Trader Joe's, Chick-fil-A, Wegmans, all within a quick loop from our place, or my office. Now, everything's just a little further, just enough to feel it when you're balancing client calls, errands, pickups, drop-offs, work, and trying to eat something. That level of convenience was underrated, and I miss it. 3, city planning. If you don't appreciate city planning until you live somewhere, that, it's a little struggling. In Virginia Beach, things just flow. The neighborhoods, the roadways, the traffic patterns, the transitions, they seem to be intentional. You can feel it. There's an elegance to how the city's laid out. And that matters more than you might think. Okay? So let me answer that question now. Would I transplant my life back to Virginia Beach if I could? Honestly, no. Unless I could bring my whole neighborhood with me and rework the zoning laws and still keep the city planning. I don't think I would, because as much as Virginia Beach still pulls at me in some ways, what we have now, this rhythm, this freedom, this space fits us better. Now, I'm not knocking it. We lived here, we still work here, and we've helped families find homes here. And we're proud to, but we've also helped folks move out of Virginia Beach. Sometimes they needed more space. Sometimes they just wanted a different feel, urban, rural, or more affordable. Point is, if you're in that in-between place, wondering if Virginia Beach is your fit, you're not crazy. You're being thoughtful, and that's good. If you have to move, job change, PCS, family, Virginia Beach can be a solid option. If you're choosing to move and just trying to escape where you are now, pause. Tell me in the comments what you're hoping to leave behind. I'll tell you if you'll find something different here or if it's going to be the same. Okay? If this helped, watch the next video in the series, 5 reasons not to move to Virginia Beach. And who should anyway? We go even deeper there. And I think it'll give you a real peace of mind either way. Let's keep going. All right. Peace.